Hello, everybody. I am so delighted to be here with Rachel Blackman. Um, I met Rachel, I believe it was early 2024, when I was um, coming out of a dark cave in my like shamanic initiation sickness experience, and also wrapping up my training in organic intelligence, or had wrapped it up, and was calling in new people in my life, new communities, in particular women, in particular the feminine, that understands and operates in this mm, animist way. And we'll get into that in a little bit, I think, in our little conversation here. But it was such a treat to have, and as I have learned in the path of surrendering to nature, um, when we're ready, whatever we need appears in life. And I honestly don't even remember how Brooke and Rachel of the Feeding Your Genius program came into my world, but it was through a series of synchronicities and following that inner voice, um, that I came upon Rachel and Brooke and attended their program, which I think was 7 months long. Was that
Yeah,
right?
that's
Seven or
right.
9 months?
No,
Yes.
7 months. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember from the very first class, which I believe Rachel guided, because we both work in somatics, um, but both with a particular emphasis on, also on just nature, biome, cosmos,
Mm,
like not just clinical, but the ancient way
mm,
combined with the clinical. And I believe there was like one of the first invitations was to be aware of the body of a celestial body
mm,
in the meditation. And I was like, oh, yes, I made the right choice in choosing to be in this space for these 7 months.
mm, mm,
Um, and there's so much more, but I just want to say before we even open up this conversation, Rachel opened the space in the beautiful way that she does. And immediately I felt this expansive energy, which I do feel with you. I love this because there's a way that we um, understand ourselves almost as just one piece of a multidimensional, beautiful orchestra of life as we walk about
mm,
this human existence. And there's something so safe about that, which I think is so
mm,
important when you're working
mm,
with the nervous system,
mhm,
which simultaneously allows your world to expand and keep evolving,
mm,
powerful
mm,
ways. So I hope that that can come through. I'm sure it will, this recording today for people who might be
mm,
listening. And I guess the first thing I just want to express to you, Rachel, is the gratitude I feel for having met you and we're on opposite sides of the world, by the way.
yeah.
So this is the beautiful part of following that, what I might call the heroine's journey or the shaman's trail, is that we do like find in the most synchronistic ways in our lives the people who are walking a similar medicine path and that are meant to pop into our world and
Mm,
support our experience in different ways. And so I just want to first of all thank you for being one of those people that's been important in my life in
mm,
that way.
mm. Well, that means a lot.
Yes.
I received that with real gratitude. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
And I also hope that we can share with people a bit about, and maybe a combination of hearing a little bit about how you came into this work would be a good place to start.
mm,
But I also really want to start to open up this conversation about the sort of ancient and multidimensional and animist um,
mm,
understanding how
mm,
it can be a force for liberation, how it
mm.
can be something that's not obscure or alternative, but actually something that is um, so needed right now in our
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
So the
primary. Something that
people,
can be
right?
primary. Yeah,
Yeah, so the people can really understand why this work, why now? Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
it's such a powerful question because just you've mentioned the nervous system before, and so just to kind of come back to the way the nervous system learns feels like maybe a useful place to start because it's such a big subject. But we learn through experience. We have an experience of a thing, and then we make up a theory or a meaning about it, or a word for it, or whatever. Yeah. So we're sort of experience having creatures, if you like, and so with students, I always like to suggest that we might start by orienting via experience first, like primary experience and secondary experience. Primary, not being better or worse, just different, right? Like, so the primary experience is the felt sense encounter, emergent encounter, present moment encounter with whatever experience is happening. And then the secondary experience is the cognitive processing or the meaning making or the kind of making it into a
Logic brain.
yeah, yeah. And in culture, we just spend so much time hanging out in the front brain. I know you know from your work, we just spend so much time hanging out there, and it can become very problematic. It's not that it should be unwelcome. It's obviously a part of being in a body is having cognition, right? It's welcome.
Mm-hmm.
How might we like welcome it in a way that also allows us to, first of all, have an experience of something before we're
Yes.
commenting on it?
Yeah.
And that experience led, process based way of encountering life seems to sit really beautifully inside the possibility that the world is alive and it is profoundly relational,
Yes.
which is really all that animism is suggesting. It's that we're on a living planet
Yeah.
and sharing this place with a whole bunch of other ones
Yeah.
who have a perspective on life. Like a tree might not have a nervous system, but it's got an experience of life and it's having treeness happening for it,
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
not
And
have a
yeah.
conversation with that?
And one could
Yeah.
even say from a subtle energy perspective that
Mm.
even if it's not the same sort of physical nerve pathways as a human being, there's a subtle exchange that's living.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Hmm.
Yeah, and how might we as people with busy complex nervous systems sort of slow that down enough to be able to tune in to those conversations,
Yeah. Yeah.
have those conversations with all the other beings in the world who may not have
Hmm.
eyes and brains.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah. Well, and what you're sharing, and you said the word relational. I was thinking it the whole time you were describing that. Um, in a way, the invitation is simply to come back into right relationship with life, like into
Yeah,
relationship at all. And it really indicates how, at the root of so much suffering, no matter the way it's manifesting, has been this like period of time in recent history in which many modern humans have been separate from that relationality, like
yeah,
that separateness as almost like the core wound of
yeah,
it all in some
yeah,
ways. Yeah. I'm
yeah.
curious what you would say about that.
Well, one thing that I find really hopeful about, sort of in and amongst that, is that I really, this is something I have experienced and time again with clients and so forth and students, is I really believe that relationality exists small I indigenous to our species. Like I feel like it's just what we are of and who we are deeply. So what gives me hope is that all this other stuff that crowds in and dominates and tells us is reality is really, like, historically speaking, it's a really, really modern invention. It's very recent in our species history.
Right.
Like talking to ancestors and we weren't having conversations with crops. It's very
Yes.
recent.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
so in that way, it gives me hope because I think, well, actually, it's not that far away for us to come back home to that. And it
Absolutely.
does feel like a coming home to me. It's like a
Yeah.
remembering. It's not like somewhere else. It's like in
Mhm.
me, in us.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
makes me really hopeful, actually. What about you?
Same. My experience, and many people know about my journey of recovering from being disabled with autoimmune illness. So
Yeah,
much of what I learned in that journey is how, and I connect sort of this. exponential rising epidemic of being unwell in our bodies that's happening on the planet, to like directly connected to that separation from this larger web. And I think it's so hopeful when we see things like during the lockdown, when traffic stops for a few days and suddenly the dolphins swim in the, canals in France. And it's like, and I've heard this a lot from listening to some of the things Dr. Zach Bush teaches too. Like if we just like take our foot off the neck of the planet in these simple
Yeah,
ways, it's like a matter of days or even less
yeah,
sometimes, that something that's been suppressed just starts flourishing again.
yeah, yeah.
It just shows the regenerative, like how ready the
Yes,
planet is to regenerate. Yeah, and our bodies and on all of it, life, right?
yes, and we're all part of that. We get to benefit from that too. It's a really beautiful book called Sites of Abandonment, and it's about these places where humans have, I don't know, made a terrible mistake, like the Chernobyl disaster, and abandoned the territory, and how quickly, just because our foot's not on it, nature's gone, yeah, I'll have a bit of that, yeah, and all these species.
Yes, which
Quick it is.
which is such a beautiful metaphor too for this somatic piece, which I think
Yeah,
sometimes people struggle with. And I love how looking at nature as sort of a mentor in or a inspiration in this process, because we are nature, can
mm,
help start to bring back that felt sense from a place of just logic brain observer to, oh, like if
mm,
I take my foot off of nature and it starts to flourish, what would it be like to assist, find support, to
yeah,
have the foot taken off of me, off of my
yeah,
nervous system, off of my trauma, off of my conditioning, and the ways my body's been squeezed into
mm.
something that's not the full picture of who I
Yeah,
am.
yeah, the sort of ways in which I'm staying inside the unhelpful patterns or the unhelpful habits. Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. And I would love to, because both of us have chose, and I would love to hear. I don't think I've ever heard about your relationship with nature and animism, even maybe predating going into clinical training in somatics. Mine was definitely there from birth, and then eventually somatics is like, oh, here's the modern
The
science
framework.
version of how I can
Yeah,
professionally do this. But I'd
yeah.
love to hear your how it was for you with synthesizing the two, and then also what drew you to learn the professional work
Yeah.
of somatics too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fascinating to talk about too. So I think I came via a different way to many people in the sense that I was born into a strange little religion called Christian Science that
Mm,
believes in spirit being pure and perfect and the body being a kind of
mm, hmm.
almost like a kind of misconstrued thing.
Yeah.
A little
I
bit
think
like,
that's common in a lot of religions, actually, not just that one, in different
yeah,
ways. Yeah.
it is in a lot of religions and especially a lot of Christian religions, but something that's particular about Christian Science I found is this sense of the, the, um, the body is a mistake and everything can be healed through prayer. So it sort of rejects Western medicine completely. And I grew up as a teenager as a deeply kinesthetic, I've got it like a mirror
Hmm.
neuron synesthesia. It's like everything is being felt. It was so confusing to me, seeing as that was my reference point for interpreting everything, that I was being told that was kind of wrong or a mistake. It sort of felt. I remember being around like 9 or 10 where it became really clear that that wasn't right for me. I didn't know what was going to be right, but at that point, I just knew that whatever that belief system was holding wasn't for me. And then I jumped forward to being 20. I mean, I was doing yoga and all sorts of other kind of embodied practices, but it wasn't until I was 21 and I went to drama school and trained as an actor that I encountered the Feldenkrais method. And
Yeah.
working I've been doing ballet since I was 4 years old, and I turned up to drama school and I walked like a duck, and I had all this tension in my lower back and hyperextended neck with all this sort of just musculoskeletal disaster. But I thought I was neutral. And then Feldenkrais taught me how to walk and sit and stand again in a way that was well organized. And was such hard work to rebuild my whole identity
Mhm.
and
Mm.
shackle all these just all the neuroplastic change that had to happen
Yes.
in order for me
Yeah.
to find a new way of being in myself.
Right.
And it was just life changing.
Yeah.
And I knew that at that point, I knew that at some point I needed to study it deeply and make it
Yes.
part of my professional offerings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
didn't get round to
Yeah.
it till I was 40, whatever. But still, and then in the meantime, there was also a whole bunch of like plant medicine work and kind of spirit tending work and all sorts of other numinous stuff that kind of came in. But it felt like I inherited this religious structure that I knew how to talk to spirit or God or whatever, like I knew how to pray. But
Mm.
my journey was how do I bring this into the body, into the felt sense, and be here on the planet with my feet on the ground? How do I bring it here
Yes.
and make
Yes.
it here? So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
having
Yeah.
conversations with, like, it's not just about
Yeah.
transcendence, it's about,
No, yeah, I love your story is such a brilliant demonstration of this, the both and of metamorphosis and transmutation, because it's like precisely the thing that was like almost like the squeeze of the conditioning. It also had ingredients of something true. And then to
mm,
say, I'm going to choose this true thing and I'm going to find the greater pattern that's going to then
yeah,
unlock that in an even more integrative way. And this
mm,
is where I really feel like what you're starting to touch on too is ancestral healing, lineage healing, planetary, these bigger collective bodies healing.
mm,
Because if it's true that in the last couple thousand years humans have strayed from this, and that's, and less in certain situations, but it's this little window of time that in
mm,
a way it's like, I love that you use the word inheritance too, because it's like we've um, so much when we come into this world, and this neuroplasticity is dependent on our environment and on what we meet immediately. And so if there's this big missing piece that's not just our individual parents, but this chunk of history in which something has been forgotten about
yeah,
a way of being, that's
yeah,
why it is so much work. But it's amazing to know there is a field, and some
mm,
of these modalities, that's what they strive to do,
mm,
is to like, how do we tap into that field of intelligence that never lost that inheritance,
no,
that got lost for a little while in our families. Yeah, it's
mm,
like that
yeah.
bigger pattern. Hmm.
Yeah, and that can be called anything you need it to be called. You don't
Hmm.
even have to believe in God. Like call it
Hmm.
God if you like. This great big generative principle that's Alden Bishop calls the earth. He says the earth is a generative principle, and I love that, a great generative principle. And so you can call it a big generative principle, or you can call it biointelligence, or you can call it God if you want. It's just this sense of trusting that life is doing itself through you and with you. You know, life is happening, and but just by virtue of you being alive, you don't have to be special. Just the fact that you're
Yeah,
alive
yeah,
in a body means it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. It makes me think about how often I'll start a meditation with something so simple as, without changing anything, just
mm,
observe how your body is breathing itself. Observe how your blood is flowing itself.
mm,
Observe how your pulses are rhythming themselves. I mean, maybe not that exact way of saying it, but um, it's so simple, and yet also I totally understand what you say about it's so hard. It's almost like listening to something. It's hard in the opposite way that I think a lot of people think hard, because
yeah,
there's a retraining of your attention that's very like, when 99% of your attention has been in this way that's
that's it.
not connected to this thing. It takes a lot of effort to like retrain yourself to that subtle
Yeah,
thing that you're out of touch with. But,
yeah,
and I love the way your body's talking about it too. It's like
mm,
once you start to hear it,
mm,
it's so, it's like coming home.
yeah, yeah.
What would you say to people, maybe people who are still kind of like in that phase of not being sure about this thing called somatics or called by the, biointelligence, like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of how to begin to trust this thing that we're calling simple, but then some people might be like, but it's not simple. I don't get it.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I could just do a little, we could do a little experiment now, like just while we're sitting here or while you're listening, if you're cooking or whatever you're doing while you're listening or watching this. And we might play a little game in the experiment, like we might say something like, so you just notice first of all like where your feet are connected to the floor, and you might also notice where your weight is falling through the center of you. Maybe you're sitting or standing. Just notice how your weight is organized. And then you might notice if you fold your attention a little bit inward, back and down, you might notice that there might be something in you, something in your body that knows something about feeling all right. Just something in your body, just somewhere, doesn't have to be all of you, just something in your body that might have a clue or know something about feeling all right, feeling okay. And where is that? Where is that in you that knows just
Mm,
a little something about feeling okay?
yeah.
Just
Mm,
that.
yeah.
I'm curious where you went then. Just on that little.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean, I so appreciate speaking with you just because I often guide this for people and I love being able to receive, I love being able to just
I know, same, same.
um immediately like I drop down like into my root. I like go down
Mm,
into my root. Because there's so much of ways that I think we have this like upward and forward facing
yeah,
way of being, especially on the computer and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And it's like, I think it's so important for people to realize too, because I get the question often about nature and how can I get more nature? And that's a good strategic question in general. But what if we just started with realizing that that simple shift of our attention actually, like where I went was my root. Like I'm rooted. Like I'm in a
Yeah,
house. I'm
yeah,
speaking on the computer with you. And my
yeah,
nature is like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
okay. I'm
yeah,
okay. And I
yeah.
also really like the way that you have it open-ended because this is something I noticed that and this is not to judge anyone because I think it's wonderful that there's so much more awareness of somatics and somatic practice and nervous
Mm,
system practices
mm,
coming into the world. But the more that one is really tuning into this coherent way of being, the less it is a like specific one size fits all, do
mm.
this kind of a invitation, and the more it is actually like this relational hyper present, not even connected to the past or future, like invitation to like, and what right now, how right now is your organism connected to the
Yeah,
coherent field? And
yeah.
it might be different in a minute, and it's definitely different from
And
person
it's
to
going to be
person,
different for
but we can
everyone.
never tell someone how to do this. It's an
No,
invitation. But
no.
in your voice, there's such a confidence. And I think this is relayed when we
Mm,
cultivate coherence. There's this confidence that it's there for the person, even if the
yeah.
person doesn't yet know how to sense it for themselves. Like just the way you said, the part of you that knows it's okay. And
Mm,
like you're not just saying that, you're tuning into that part in yourself as you say that, which transmits
yeah.
a trust into the field that then the other person actually it helps put some of whatever doubt they might be feeling aside a little bit too.
Yeah, and permission to take
Um,
your time, like that was a big thing for me when I was really early learning it. Is just how slow I needed to go to be able to feel myself. How slow do I need to go to be able to actually be with myself? And
yeah,
that's just a question I'm with and with and with in life.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
such a profound
yeah,
but very simple but very hard, like
yeah,
it's a simple thing
yeah,
and hard to kind of keep reminding sometimes.
yeah, yeah. And I do think
Mm,
I do know many people fear, and I did too when I had to slow down dramatically, fear that that will mean the end or annihilation or how will I function?
Yeah, it
But
can feel like an annihilation, can't
mm,
it?
and I
Yeah.
think it's good to just speak to that because
Mm,
this is also kind of a path that is, the way I see animism, and I like to talk about the regenerative path.
yeah,
It's
lovely.
actually that thing that spiritual teachers have talked about forever, which is about how you die before you die. And our culture is such a death phobic culture, but what if death was actually the simply the which it is literally in these processes, like the death of old neural pathways and old rigid patternings that have some discomfort that comes up in the moment that they stop being fed.
Mm,
But for the sake of something, and this is, I think something that people need to hear to trust the process of leaning into it. Like, what
yeah.
is that for the sake of? Why do we, why
Uh,
do we allow why do we let that happen? Because it's not always comfortable. What's on the other side? There's a lot I could say, but I want to hear what you have to say about that, of like what's on the other side of bravely allowing that
okay, so
undoing.
that's really a story then about going to do my Feldenkrais teacher training, and I pretty much slept through the whole first year. Pretty much, I would sleep through most of the training in the first year. And my teacher, bless her, would say, "That's obviously what you need. This is needed at some level. I wonder if you might be able to trust that it's going in somewhere, and somewhere you're getting what you need." But let's celebrate the fact that for now your system feels safe enough to just come here, begin a class, and then go to sleep. And I think I was in recovery from such profound hypervigilance. I think I was working at such a kind of I don't know, like a high performing hypervigilance throughout my whole life
Yeah.
up to that point.
Yeah.
And being an excellent student and trying harder equals team points kind of attitude to life, or need like forcing productivity at great expense to my own system, that kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Very,
what had to
yeah.
happen. To be able to start to rebuild something, I had to first of all just go to ground, let myself go to ground again and again and again. And gradually, what started to happen was something new started to be able to find a way to form itself inside me, because I had the space in me for that to be welcome. But I didn't have the space before that. Do you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I love how you said I just had to go back to ground.
Mm,
So much of culture, I think, feels like it's floating above the ground. And so it's this
yeah,
courageous thing to feel in some ways like, and that's why I think community and talking about this publicly is so important, because sometimes it can feel like I'm the only one that's like doing this thing of like dropping to ground
yeah,
while the world around me is like floating
yeah,
up here, and it can feel disillusioning, and your world can really radically change when you do that
yeah.
too. People are like, why are you not
Who,
reacting in the same ways you used
who
to,
are you
playing the
being?
same roles that you used to?
Yeah, and that's challenging for people who love us and know us well. When we suddenly start taking on different behaviors as well, it can be very confronting in lots of ways, social ways as well. And some of these
Yeah.
kind of cosmologies around family and so forth, these agreements.
Absolutely. And it brings me back to what you said about how this work is really actually relational. It's about restoring relationship, because in a
Yeah.
way that the thing is, there's a temporary, and it's not even, it's like a releasing of a more superficial way of
Hmm.
relating for a deeper and more grounded
Mm.
way that's less about that performance and less about hypervigilance and more
Mm.
just like very direct. I mean, I find it very
Mm.
intimate in a way that doesn't take work, because it's literally just a kind of beingness, and it's a beingness that a lot of us have forgotten is
Yeah.
possible, that can be incredibly nourishing. Like, I mean, to me, that's the source of emotional nourishment. And also what
Yes.
I had to do in order for my body to physically learn to nourish itself again, physically from a metabolic disease. So there's a nourishment that
Yeah.
we're missing when we're relating in these superficial ways. And this way that being
Yeah.
grounded, as you say, is so deeply nourishing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so radical for me to learn. I'd come from 20 years of body work, working with people one to one. I was very skilled at it. I knew I was good at it. It was very effective at it. People came, it was a successful business, and I was starting to get exhausted. And then when this new technology came into my hands with the Feldenkrais work, I just suddenly was unable to work in the way I'd been working. It just sort of, my body just said no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I discovered that it was possible to work in a way that actually nourished us both and nourished the field.
Mhm.
And I very rarely come away from a session feeling exhausted anymore. I feel often
Yeah.
co-nourished. I'm
Yeah.
really surprised by, or
Yeah.
tired beforehand and I feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was like one of the only things I could do when I was so sick. I couldn't even like vacuum my house, but I like once or twice a week I could show up for a client and it
Wow.
was deeply nourishing because and this brings us back to the animism piece that maybe we can go into just a bit more here
Yeah.
because I just found it fascinating that like yeah, I think that was part of my training too in becoming just a clear channel. It was like, okay, well, if I like, there was something relieving about not being in my own brain and my own things that were still unwinding and clashing around in my like
Mm,
different parts that hadn't integrated and like to
mm,
just be like, oh, there's something so easy about just um, putting aside any kind of identity and just like the literal prayer like make me a channel for whatever
yeah.
source field, this
Yeah.
biointelligence, God, whatever you want to call it, would like to have happen here.
That's
um
beautiful.
and
Yeah.
and it's energizing, it's
Yeah.
it's energizing. um what do you think, and not just for practitioners, which actually I would like to make sure we have time for you to share because I think that the training that you're coming up on is actually for practitioners. Is that right? It's for
Right.
practitioners.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Before we go there, though, I just wonder for anybody, like whether they consider themselves a healing practitioner or a lawyer or a grocer or a mother or
Yeah.
whatever their hat is that they're playing. How can this way of being connected to this greater intelligence make life so much more easy than however they may be doing it right now?
Mm, mm. There's something about the the this is something I've learned a lot, like really deepened into, sort of found out through Feldenkrais and have deepened into via Daniel Four's work, ancestral medicine. The in somatics we can get into this idea that we need to be running everything through our bodies, like that our bodies are the fields through which we kind of, I don't know, there's sort of, it can creep in a little bit into somatics, this sense that
Mm-hmm.
everything needs to be felt. And
Mm-hmm.
I think my experience is that I have a quite a soft little body, and compared to a mountain, I'm quite a small one. Compared
Yeah.
to a 500-year-old tree, I'm pretty young. Like compared to the ocean, I'm a spring chicken. And
Mm.
so maybe there are some things that can be held by larger bodies, so that I
Mhm.
don't have to hold it all in my one little system, which I think is a sort of
Mhm.
hyper individualist myth
Yes. Yes.
we can get into in the healing arts as well. Like, you
Yeah.
can heal yourself. And I'm not saying you can't heal yourself, but I'm saying how much more friendly would it be if you could heal yourself in company or in sangha. That's your beautiful word, sangha. And thank you for bringing sangha back into my life as a word. And this possibility that it might be able to be collegiate, and that might be with other nervous systems, like human nervous systems. It might be with ancestors. It might be with the
Mm.
with with putting myself in the woods and being near the soil. There's lots
Mm.
of ways that it could be. I mean, even just having a chat, having a kind of conversation with your household plants might be a place to start. Like just to checking in, how's
Yeah.
how's things? You're
Yeah.
sharing your
Yeah.
house with other beings.
Yeah. I
Mm,
love this. It makes me think of something I heard an energy healer say recently, which was um, the soul's not in the body is in the soul. Almost like there's a bigger, the soul being this bigger
bigger.
intelligence that the
Yeah.
body is just one of the many players in,
Yeah, nice.
which
I've not heard that
brings
before.
relief. Yeah, doesn't that like bring relief from like I have to run everything through the physical body versus this other thing that I'm connected to?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this participatory. Yeah, go ahead.
That reminds me of a student of mine just recently. She was saying we did a little bit of work. You talked about the celestial bodies, and we did a little bit
Mhm.
of work with the moon, and we sort of have this. I have this process I can take people to where they can kind of get up there and look down on the planet, and it's a good place
Mhm.
to ask like species level questions or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
and the while she was up there, she got a real message, strong message that she needs to be in touch with this ex-partner of hers. And she kind of came back down to earth, and we were doing like the front brain debrief or whatever. And she said, I don't know how I feel about actually calling him up again because it wasn't a good breakup. I don't know if I actually really want to talk to him again. And and yet the message was quite clear from the journey that there needed to be some conversation. And
Mm.
so I offered, like, what about talking to him, like going to a place in your mind's eye that feels like a nice place to be, and inviting
Mhm.
him in there, and having the conversation in that sort of liminal place,
Yeah.
doing the relational work there, which we know
Mhm.
from the work we do is neuroplastic change. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah. It's not imagination in the sort of Pollyanna way. It's a
no,
very real field
hmm,
of biointelligence shifting.
yes,
Yes.
shifting reality.
Yeah, shifting reality. Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as that possibility kind of opened up for her, it suddenly made sense that she didn't actually have to go and physically be with the guy. She could communicate everything she wanted to communicate
Mhm.
in that
Mhm.
plane, make the
Mhm.
shifts, and be done with it. And it was so
Yeah. Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, I want to add on to that because I heard a story from someone else, a podcaster, sharing about going into the jungle and just dieting and doing this work all in the field, directly subtle body to
Yeah,
have these conversations with a couple of people she'd fallen out with in her past years ago and hadn't
yeah,
spoken with.
yeah.
And it all happened, she didn't have her phone. There was no actual 3D
Mm.
communication. And as soon as she got home, she wrote letters that she was going to mail to these people. But
Oh,
when she
wow.
got home from the jungle and before she even put the letters in the mail, she received within like less than an hour a text message from both of those people basically apologizing for whatever their part was.
Wow. Because the field shifted. Everything
Yes,
shifted.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've had your experiences of
Yeah.
this too, and I have too, but I think it's just uh,
There are lots of ways to have
what it
conversation.
means for what's possible is actually
Yeah.
tremendous in
Yes.
terms of us stepping into this and stepping out of, I think it's good that people take their time, not blindly believing things that they should step their way into their own biointelligence opening and being ready and saying, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, now I see why
Yeah,
that this is
100%.
so much bigger. And
I
and
like to say,
so
don't take my word for it, try it
yeah,
out.
Try it
What
out.
you think,
Yeah.
try it for yourself
Yeah.
and see what conclusions you come to, taste it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm. Um,
Mm.
and speaking of trying it out,
So
um,
we both have trainings coming up, do we?
mine's ongoing. So it's a membership
Yeah,
where people can come and experience the metamorphosis process and have live weekly tastes of it. And I think yours is more of a time-bound program coming up, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's right. So it's to teach people who are coaches or healers or space holders to work with spirit in a way that's anchored in the nervous system, sort of rooted in the nervous system. So we're prioritizing agency, sovereignty, ritual protection, and kind of folding that into a coaching shape, really, either
Mm-hmm.
either for one to one or as a group, with the idea that when we can, one of the things that excites me about coaching is that coaching is really working in and with the generative principle or the regenerative principle.
Yeah.
And so it's like let's collaborate together and see where we go. It's that spirit of experiment, and it
Mm-hmm.
lends itself really beautifully, the coaching shape, to this work. Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm. I
and
love oh go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I don't know if this would kind of have overlaps with your background in OI and so forth, but in some of the coaching circles I've been a part of, coaching education, I've been working in teaching coaches somatic intelligence for many years, like maybe 14 to 12 years or something like that, longer, 14 years. And something that I find creeps in there is this sense of, don't say the word spiritual, because people will think we're flaky. Let's
Mm.
not prioritize the sacred. We all
Mm.
know secretly that's what we're doing, but let's not say that out loud in case they
Yeah.
judge us.
Oh, I can really relate to the slow coming out of just being like, I'm gonna put the word soul on my freaking website.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
what happens if we put the sacred at the center? And like,
Yeah.
the sacred loves it when we do that. The sacred goes, yes,
Now I will unanimate your life more and give you more energy for the things
I
you love.
know. Yeah, I know you know, but I just sort of want to name that for folks who are maybe
Yeah.
hesitating behind the closet door
Yeah.
about, like coming
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
into it being a
Yeah.
center point,
Right.
actually.
Right. Well, and probably a lot of that also does come from religious trauma. And so again, this is another situation where the field is so much older and wiser and bigger than the way that it's been constrained, right?
100%.
Right. And
100%
it's that aliveness is another way to say that.
aliveness.
Everybody knows that when someone dies, something that was
Something continues.
animate is not like the body is different after someone dies than before it dies. Like that's something we see, right?
True.
Regardless
Yeah.
of what you believe even happens, even regardless of what you believe happens after that.
Yeah.
So whatever
Yeah.
that is, that's, you know,
Yeah.
undeniable.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a great liberation to go straight to the thing that's almost like really the center of all things and just say,
Mhm.
like, we will no longer dance around this. We're just gonna
Yeah.
root ourselves right in that. And that root is, I think, where you really get into this principle of being regenerative and at one with death and rebirth. Because
Mm.
if something if something can be here when we're alive and then not in the body when we're dead, like there's like whatever that is, there's something that is even more continuous and stable and maybe even a nervous system where you could say safe. I love redefining safety as not just
Mm.
survival, but it's like that what when there's a sense of continuity through
Mm.
what
Mm.
continues through change, that
Mm. That's
creates
really nice. I like that. I really
right?
like that.
And
Yes,
it's like the
safety
soul
not
would
being
take
about,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
For
safety not being
death.
about a
Mhm.
carapace or something of needing to protect ourselves from experience, but rather
Mhm.
a kind of, I don't know, maybe even an elasticity or a kind of
Yeah.
capacity
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
nice.
something like the sacred is
Yeah,
so
yeah,
elastic that it can even endure through the change of physical death.
yeah, yeah,
So, so why not root into that? And then all these other
yeah,
smaller deaths that happen in life that are not like the big
the big
final
one.
extinction of, yeah,
Yeah,
they're easier.
yeah. And of course, easier said than done, right? Because
Definitely.
um, process, it's very hard to sort of be with that surrender or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. I think that's why it's so important. Like, I've appreciated this about you uh and this is something I've been doing over the last couple of years when I moved into working with groups from just individuals, but creating and I think it comes with our own cultivation of this tether to that thing that continues and that is elastic and neuroplastic is like there's a way that our field and the space that we hold kind of stretches out and it's more of like an invitation. I think about people who are very developed and who eventually get to a point where they don't even do talks to people anymore. Like people just want to come sit in their presence, like just come
yeah,
like or like a tree. It doesn't have to be a human. Like
like
just sit
Ramdas,
by the
Ramdas, people
being.
just
And it's
yeah,
like, how do we create spaces in our professional world too, where we're coming into this world of the hypervigilant forward leaningness, and we're
mm,
saying we're actually going to create a new infrastructure here.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and I just have appreciated observing you from, I think I met you and started following your work maybe like I don't know. It was not a full year before I launched my sanctuary, but it was several months. And I was
mm.
like, I love how this woman is um it's like doing the permaculture of resetting the garden of professional offering. I mean, I know now that like a lot of people are doing that, but I remember being really struck by that. And I just think
Yeah,
it's like what you said about the left logic brain, thinking brain, and then this more expansive animal body
mm,
you could say the right brain and left brain and right relationship. It's like, what if the logic and the structure and the yes show up for me? My classes are every Wednesday, but like show up at this time every Wednesday was just the container, the
mm,
logic part. But it's
mm,
really in service to this expansive, timeless field of intelligence and
mm,
how it wants to inform and deepen
mm,
this rooting in this intelligence. And the guide is just the person who is in trust and has done that enough that that they're orchestrating that capacity for people to have that more and more in their own being and to
yeah,
take that into their world and to then become someone who's another offshoot of a tree doing that for the saplings around them and around them. So it's like this fractal of coherence that just
yeah.
spreads.
That's nice. Fractal of coherence. That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's just all we're doing as the guide, really, is just we know the landscape a bit. We're just a bit more familiar with the landscape. It's a little like when you go to a country you've never been to before and you've got someone there who sort of knows the local language and can help you.
Yeah,
It's a little
yeah.
like, and then more and more, I'm trusting that the conversation that's happening between my client and their guide or their intelligent heart or wherever it is that they're in conversation, that that's their business. And really I'm sort of finding more and more my stewardship is kind of gossamer light, like really
Mm,
quite, um,
mhm, mm.
yeah, just sort of. Actually, one of my teachers, Dr. Amma McZeal, talked about the feeling of just rearranging things in a Zen garden. That feeling,
Mm.
it's there's something so
Mm-hmm.
soft and so
Mm.
equal about it most of the time. Lots of breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
I think it's important for people to hear how that is because I know you and I both have invested a lot of time and energy in being the recipient of these things from other teachers in our life
Yeah.
too, and how worth it was to show up and to pay the money and to be there, whatever the transaction that was needed to arrive at this place where life could be like radically different and more easeful and more nourishing, and then could even become generative to the point where someone can step into a place of like, oh, this is also how I make my bread in the world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that doesn't have to look like the old way. It can actually look like being this in the Zen garden while I'm working.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's so important for people to hear.
That's a possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I
because
love that you're,
we inherit that sort of industrial model or that Protestant idea about hard work equals value. Often is at the expense of really vital stuff like the sacred, like soul, like sustainability. You know. Um,
yeah.
mm.
Yeah, like vitality.
Yeah,
Like happiness.
yeah,
Like real joy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, yeah.
Well, I know you're
Um,
interviewing, me, but I would love to receive a link to your stuff, your ongoing membership, so that I can, when this comes out, I can share
yeah.
this with my
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, we'll put and I'll put yeah, send me a link. We'll put it in the notes below when this
Yeah,
comes out.
yeah, great.
And yeah, any last like I guess there's two pieces. Any last thing you want to say about this particular offering coming up for practitioners?
Mm,
And then I want to maybe see how the field wants us to close after that.
that's nice. Maybe I'll just tell you what it's called. It's called Biointelligence Training, a living toolkit for coaches and space holders. And it goes over a year. It's from October to September. It's very experientially focused and practice based. So there will be some theory in there as well, but largely you're going to be having your fingers in the soil doing the work, you know? So maybe just that'll do.
Yes. I just have this beautiful image of like going to the school where you don't sit in the desk with the notebook, but where you go like walk around in the garden and play in the sandbox and pull the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
strawberries.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a nice
That's what it's
metaphor.
like. Yeah. Mm, yeah. What a rich time in conversation. I'm in that like natural quiet place. So it's a nice that's something that I think this work does as well is like mm, there's a that continuity, like there's that um the right size moment of sharing and then the being gets quiet. There's a completeness, there's a peace.
Mm,
So
mm.
thank you for riding this wave today with me, Rachel, and also anyone who's listened today.
I've enjoyed
I
it so
hope
much,
that
Elizabeth.
I hope that you found your own wave of aliveness that you rode through the conversation, and maybe also some of this like peace on the other side of meeting that a little bit more.
Mm, mm.
Hmm,
Oh, I've enjoyed it
yeah.
so much, and I feel like there's such a kindredness in how our work dovetails. You know, I feel like we recognize something in each other's
Mhm.
orientation to the work in the world. So,
Yeah, and I see it like midwifing too. It's like, like I appreciate that like was it couple months ago? I was like, I'd love to have something midwifed. I'm going to reach out to Rachel to hold
right.
space because we work so similarly, and
Yeah.
it's easy.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, beautiful.
Mm.
I've been so
Anyone?
enjoying the snake behind your head. It's alive.
It is the snakes, it's actually an ayahuasca
Yeah,
vine. Yeah, with the snakes that hold the world together.
it's a
Yeah.
Shitsuko Kanibo weaving. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. And we'll have links. I'll put my link and Rachel's underneath the video if you'd like to reach out to either of us to get some space held for the deep, wise, and animate part of your being to come more awake and more grounded in its life. And we're here. Yeah,
Mm,
just holding
mm,
steady. And if it's not this offering with Rachel, she'll do more because no matter if it's not this one with me, it'll be someone else. It's like there's a coherence field growing and we're here for it. So, yeah.
mm. Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, everyone. Bye.